everybody, welcome to another episode of M-Class Podcast, the internet's #1 podcast, starring me, Jeff.
And the internet's #1 podcast starring me, Josh.
You did that joke last time, you fucking hack.
I'm trying my material out.
When are you gonna do stand-up, Josh?
I don't stand up to do this show. We do it for like 4 hours. I'm not standing for 4 hours.
Man, I want to do stand-up one day.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm too much of a fraidy cat.
Yeah,
though.
me too. I got a yellow belly.
I don't want to get booed.
That's neither here nor there because this every 2 weeks,
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about Minefield, the Enterprise episode from Season 2, Episode 3.
Finally, an Enterprise episode.
God, it took us a while to get here, actually.
Well, thankfully we didn't watch Terra Nova, because it's terrible.
God, that would have been the worst Enterprise episode to start on.
Yeah, but this one's a pretty good one.
Some fun facts right at the gate on this episode.
Fucking Jesus already? Holy fuck.
These are not John Larroquette fun facts, but they are fun facts. This episode was written by John Chabon, who has a great name, A. B, he's the co-executive producer of Enterprise.
There you go.
And C, he's actually the producer and like one of the head writers for X-Files.
Oh, the new one?
No, the original show.
Oh, wow.
He actually was, of course, head producer on The Lone Gunman as well.
People love that show.
Yeah.
It was on for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, R.I.P. to that program.
Yeah, R.I.P. to those guys, too.
Oh, they had to kill him because they couldn't feed him anymore.
They got too big. They got too big.
James Contner was the director, and he directed a lot of shit on television.
James Contner's the name.
Contner was actually a cinematographer on Jaws 3D, which I thought was really fun.
Holy shit. That's incredible.
I thought that was a legitimate John Larroquette fun fact.
That is a super fun fact. Jaws 3D. Oh my god. What I want to achieve here is like the Jaws is like coming through the screen.
Have it go at the screen 400 times.
It's 3D. We gotta use it.
Now we got a movie.
Now we got a movie. Is that the one that takes place in the park? It's like
fuck, I don't remember.
I think it's like a SeaWorld, and there's a Jaws in the SeaWorld.
That sounds really familiar, so I think you're right, because I didn't watch anything past 3D.
Yeah, there's 4, right?
I think there's 4. I think there's a spin-off as well. I forget.
Baby Jaws?
Jaws Babies. It's done like Muppet Babies.
Jaws Babies! Make all your sharks come true.
This is the last episode in our Romulans collection. I want to get that out of the way up in the front.
Oh my god.
There are 7 million more episodes of Star Trek with Romulans in them. This isn't comprehensive.
No.
I do want to point out, though, that we're going to need to choose our next set of episodes, our next collection.
Oh, shit.
And we want your help with that.
Rumpelstiltskins.
It's only one episode.
We talked about the Satans.
Oh yeah,
episode.
Satans with Rumpelstiltskin is one of them.
Rumpelstiltskin counts as a Satan.
We have a Patreon now.
What?
We got some Patreon. You guys thought it was a bit. We were gonna keep fucking talking about making it and never make it, but we got one, baby.
I pulled my shit together and I made the video and then put it up.
It's a good video.
Yeah,
we
did a great
got
job.
one.
We got one.
And if you become a patron today, this is a commercial, by the way. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
If you become a patron today at $1, you'll get access to our exclusive Discord channel.
Oh yeah.
Access to behind-the-scene blogs, and most importantly, a vote on what episode collection we watch next. We're not fucking asking Twitter anymore. If you're not on the Patreon, we don't care. Fuck you. No,
you're gonna have to pay for it.
It's $1. It's $1.
Yeah, we asked Twitter and it was a disaster.
Yes,
so.
we ended up having the worst series we possibly could have, literally, because it was called the worst episode series.
They wanted us to get mad about stuff.
And
they like when we're like angry,
and it
about
worked.
Things. Yeah, it worked so well that we bailed on doing the last one and we made a April Fool's joke out of it.
People still keep falling for that, by the way. I still get a message every now and then from Twitter or from YouTube of somebody being like, "Fuck, got me again, Jeff."
So good.
There are other reward tiers. Like if you plop down $5, you're going to gain access to the M-Class Podcast Discovery Collection.
Oh my god.
We've talked about it a billion times that we were going to watch through Discovery and do M-Class episodes about them. And we still haven't done that, but
we will do that.
We're going to do that very soon, and you will have exclusive access to that podcast at the $5 reward level.
You know what's super funny? I just got that we are doing. We're just making them do the thing with our podcast that show does with to watch it.
Yeah, it's behind a fucking paywall.
So great. That's so fucking genius. God damn, we're fucking hilarious.
We are so good.
God, fuck.
And also at that level, you receive M-Class emails a week early.
Oh, fuck yeah. Now you can fucking listen to people asking us stuff.
You get M-Class emails a week early. It comes out on the same day as M-Class Podcast.
Yo, pretty cool, huh?
There are other levels. I just wanted to touch on two specific things. At the $10 reward level, you get Jeff and Josh Talk Over Movies, our commentary track series that we're going to be starting real soon.
Oh man, I can't wait for that. We're gonna watch some real good shit.
If anybody went to Josh's stream when we watched Flash Gordon, it'll be like that, but a lot better since we know what the fuck we're talking about.
Yeah, we'll be watching like real things that are like not 85 years old.
And at the $15 reward, you get early access to another short podcast, like 30 minutes or so, called Jeff and Josh Shoot the Shit, where we just pick a topic and go nuts tangenting for the whole time.
We did that already tonight.
That'll be coming out really soon for you patrons, so get ready for that shit.
It might be out already.
Probably not, I'm going to say.
Never mind. Don't listen to me.
You can, at higher reward levels, you can get entered into a monthly free art raffle where everyone that's in that level only can win a free fucking $45 full color commission from me.
That's crazy.
For much less money.
That's crazy.
And I fucking I just want to tell everybody this. I added a $50 patron level, and it literally says no one is ever going to give us this much money. And 2 people signed up for it.
Oh my god.
I was like, what the fuck?
That's crazy. So
thank you to those folks. Maybe we'll put thank yous to patrons in something at some point, but we thank you
can do that.
Anyway. So this is a commercial I told you all. You should have fucking known it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Become our patron if you want podcasts. On to the episode.
On to the show!
This is the first canonical appearance of the Romulans in the Star Trek main timeline.
It's the first appearance of a Romulan ship. It is not the first mention of them, canonically.
Oh, they get mentioned before this?
Yeah. Captain Archer gets taken into the future by Daniels, and the future's all fucked up, and it's like a nuclear wasteland, and they're in a library, like a books library, and Daniels is like, what are these books doing here? And he's like, what the fuck are these books? And he picks up a book, or Archer picks up a book, and he says, the Romulan Star Empire, and he says, hey, you better put that down. And he mentions it in this episode. He says he saw something about them when he was with Daniels.
Oh, okay. I was wondering about that line, because the funny thing is they like mispronounce Romulans. They call it
the Romulans.
Romulans.
Yeah, the Romulans. And then T'Pol is like, Romulans. They're called Romulans.
We've heard about them.
Yeah. It's really, it's cool. I think it's cool the way they did it, because, like, obviously she doesn't know that they're Vulcans, right?
Yeah, she has no idea about their relationship to the Vulcans.
Yeah. But she knows that they're not good news.
She's only heard, like, hearsay. Rumor.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is crazy.
They're very, like, until somebody comes over the intercom, they're very threatening. Like, the guy who talks over the intercom is like, nah, I'm a Vulcan. I'm not a Vulcan. I'm a Romulan.
I mean, I'm a Romulan.
I'm not a Vulcan at all. There's no relation.
Don't look into it.
Sorry. The beginning of this episode is, like, the most awkward fucking breakfast that was ever put to film.
Oh, I kind of don't like Reed. He's not, like, my favorite. He gets better when him and Tucker become friends.
Yeah,
but,
he's very, like, straight-laced by the book, only cares about the job.
Yeah, he gets a little, like, relaxed more, like, when they go to Ryza, and, like, they get, like...
as everybody does.
Yeah, he gets really relaxed, you know? He gets so relaxed, white stuff comes out of his wiener hole.
That's pretty much the most relaxed level you can get.
Yeah, that's pretty relaxing.
If you sit in a really comfy chair, white stuff will definitely spoot out of your fucking wiener.
Spoot.
But, like, Archer invites Malcolm Reed to breakfast, and he's like, hey, do you like the World Cup? And Reed's like, nah. He's like, do you like sports? He's like, nah. And he's like, well, what do you like? He's like, nothing. He's like, oh, well, let's just have breakfast. And he's like, actually, I brought work here because I'm an asshole.
Like, he's like, I was thinking about changing this, and this. And Archer's like, I'm trying to eat my fucking Eggs Benedict, man.
Yeah, I got Eggs Benedict brought here special for you. Like, we're on a fucking spaceship? Like, how did I even get this? How did I even get this? And you're fucking talking about work.
How did I even get this? Where do these fucking eggs come from? We don't have chickens on this thing.
I guess I fucking had them. I just kept them. I don't know. But
I think they, like, replicate the... Oh, they don't replicate. I think they, like, change, like, things into... Like, the chef does it. Like, he makes them, like... They talk about it later.
Yeah, they don't have food They have food resequencers.
Resequencers.
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't have food replicators, which will eventually become replicators.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a series jump, really. Enterprise food resequencers, then TOS food replicators, then TNG replicators.
Replicators, yeah. You can replicate anything. You can replicate a fleshlight.
You can just go to the holodeck. What is your problem?
Oh, right. That's better.
I've been wasting all my replicator rations.
Worf comes, we've been getting a complaint. We've been replicating 700 fleshlights.
Do you think if you replicated fleshlights enough that, like, they would send the ship's counselor to your room and be like, I think you have a problem. We need to talk.
I mean, Barclay probably did.
Yeah.
When he had to quit. He had to quit holodeck, so he had to do something.
Yeah, they called it Barclay's disease, I think, right?
Porn addiction, Barclay's disease.
That's canon. That is canon to the M-Class podcast universe now.
Also, let the guy fuck holograms. Like, whatever.
Well, here's the thing. Just don't fuck holograms of people on the ship. Just make other holograms.
Yeah, just make a different one.
Just make a random person hologram. It doesn't matter. That's why you're being a weirdo.
You're being a weirdo, Barclay.
Fucking got Barclay's disease everywhere. So they get a little beepy.
Yes.
I forget what it's called. But they're like, we're getting hit by something. We don't know what, but it fucking exploded.
Yeah, something explodes and then, like, rips a fucking hole in the ship.
So, like, 27 people are injured. Thankfully, no one's killed because there's only, like, 70 people in the ship, so...
I think there's 82?
82. Okay.
82
Do they count the dog?
Dog does not count. When they do the manifest, sometimes they say 82 people and 1 canine.
They're trying to figure out what the fuck's happening, which is, like... The thing about this episode is it is way more Star Trek than any other Enterprise episode I've watched.
Yeah, this is like so Star Trek that like it plays with your expectations because like the first season there's an episode that's exactly like this where they just go to the planet and then they have like a planet adventure. and on it's Archer. Their planet's Archer 4, and then they breathe in like this hallucinogenic shit, and it makes them crazy.
It's the naked time again.
Yeah, so you're like trying to you're like, okay, so they're gonna go down and whatever, and then all of a sudden like boom, literally they like some shit's going down, and you're like, wait a minute, hold the fucking phone, what is going on right now?
And like you get these shots of like Dr. Phlox in sickbay that are like straight out of DS9 with or like they're straight out of Voyager really, with the Doctor having to treat everybody in the first few episodes.
Yeah.
And like Dr. Phlox is like, he's not being silly, he's being a very serious doctor, which is really
he's very
cool.
Serious. Yeah, he's not goofy.
And they can't figure out what the fuck it is that hit the hull, but they can figure out that it has no life signs.
Right, it wasn't like a thing or like a ship. But then all of a sudden, like, they see another thing, like, latch onto them, right?
Yeah. And the weird thing is Reed is just like, hey, it's a mine. And they're like, how do you know that? And he's like,
Yeah, well, he's like the guy. Like, he's like, he likes this shit, right? He's the guns guy. They brought a guns guy with them, and he's the guns guy.
I guess the thing that I was confused about is that, like, they have something called quantum beacons that I don't know. I've never heard of that before.
Okay, well, I don't remember the quantum beacons. What does it do?
It's how they figure out that there are cloaked mines all around.
Oh, yeah. So this series is more like serialized, where it's like, not serialized, it's more like the episodes connect to each other. What's that called?
Oh, yeah, it's like ongoing.
It's ongoing. So the Suliban are like this race that they have to deal with, and they can cloak. Like, they were given cloak by a future men gave them cloaking devices.
Yeah, there's a lot of like time travel shit in Enterprise.
Yeah. There's a time travel like Cold War going on, and like the Enterprise era is one of the eras where the war is being fought as like a proxy for these like future people to like change the timeline to make it so like they get what they want in the future. So Daniels and shit is there to like help them like stay the course and like not fuck up the timeline. So I don't know if they give it to them, or maybe the Vulcans like know a little bit about cloaking and they offer it to them.
It's really weird though, because like did they just not enter in any information about this? Because in the TOS episode they're like, oh shit, they have like their ship is just disappearing. What is that?
Yeah, again,
I mean, it's all fucking irrelevant. It's just like the canon of the universe or whatever. And you're gonna get that with a prequel.
Especially when TOS is like from the 60s, and like they probably don't like necessarily want to draw attention to that episode of TOS where they're like, what is happening? When like now it's like everybody knows, you know, what a cloaking device is.
I mean, that's Balance of Terror, bitch. It's one of the best.
I know. I don't know, like, I don't think they use the quantum beacons ever again. Later on in season 4, when the Romulans come back, they do like how they do it in that episode where Data gets command of that ship and that guy doesn't want to follow the orders.
Oh yeah, that's a great episode.
Yeah, they make like a tachyon grid, so they kind of figure out like how to do it better later. But now they have like these things or whatever. But there is a reason for it in the show.
Okay, so that makes sense. That. Okay. Yeah. They send Reed out to examine the mine, but the problem is they don't think that Reed will be able to figure out like an alien mine that they've never seen before in time before it fucking explodes.
Yeah, Archer's like, okay. Oh, you got this? Okay, we'll see.
He just gives him a chance, I guess, but they work on a plan to just basically jettison the hull plating that it's on. Just like that piece of the ship is just going out.
Yeah.
Which is probably, like, the best solution, but the problem is, you know, there's, like, wiring and shit underneath there.
Well, yeah, so, like, the next episode, they have to, like, deal with the problem. Well, I'm not giving too much away, but, like, spoiler alert, like, that's what they wind up doing.
Yeah, they do.
But then the next episode, they're like, well, we can't go to warp like this because, like, we don't have hull plating, and we can't just have, like, all this shit exposed.
Which is weird because they go to warp at the end of this episode.
Yeah, well, they can't go past, like, warp 2 or something like that, or else, like, the structural field, like, gets fucked up or something. I don't know.
Like, in pure Star Trek fashion, the problem doubles when a ship decloaks nearby that they have no idea what that ship is or what they want because the universal translator can't figure out the language.
That's a big thing in this show is, like, they don't have, like, universal translators that are good yet, so...
They have Ensign Sato, and she got, like, clonked on the head, so they had to take her to sickbay.
Clonked?
She was... She has, like, a horrible fucking, like, concussion, and she's just like, let me help.
She's like, I got CTE.
And apparently she can do it, even with a fucking horrible concussion.
She's like a genius. She's like Crusher-esque genius, right? Like, she just, like, knows shit.
Reed continues to try to work on the fucking, the mine, and it's all like it's like Star Trek technical shit.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, we need to figure out what class of mine and how many, like, explosives are inside and what the fucking trigger is. And
right.
Very, very Star Trek. I'm saying that a lot because I'm just shocked. Like, I'm so used to watching Enterprise episodes that are not very Star Trek-y.
I was excited for this one because this one is really good. It's like an example of, like a really good Star Trek episode where things happen in this, like, defined area, right? Like, they're not going all over the place telling some grand story. It's like, this is a problem we need to fix right here.
Yeah, it's like a small-scale story that's, like, perfect.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say perfect, but it's really good.
It's really good, yeah.
And I will say that this episode has some of the most un-Romulan Romulans. Like, they just sort of act like Klingons. They're like, get out of our territory! Get out! Get out of here! We'll kill you!
They want to, like, scare you, right? Like, they want to, they meaning the writers. Like, they want to, like, tease the Romulan angle. Because this whole show is that, right? Like,
there is, like, a Romulanness to this, though. Like, it's not in the characterization, it's in the, like, background information. The fact that they have this area of space mined, and they want to keep people out, makes you wonder what's in it.
Right. Like, what are they doing down there? Is it, like... Because, like, when the Enterprise scans it's just... There's nothing. It's just, it's not uninhabited. It's Class M, but, like, there's nobody down there as far as they can tell.
It's just a bunch of volcanoes.
But, like, is there someone down there? Like, who knows, right?
Mean,
like, are they saving it?
They have the planet mined, and, like, we're led to believe near the beginning of the episode that the mines are, like, super old. And, like, they mention that a lot. But there is a fucking starship that decloaks immediately when they show up.
Yeah. It might have been just, like, chilling there. Like, so probably there is something there, right? Like a base or something.
So, Archer orders the pilot...
sorry. His name is...
Mayweather?
Travis Mayweather, yeah.
Yeah. Mayweather, like, I wanted to say this, like, Mayweather mostly just stands around in episodes and, like, doesn't say anything.
Yeah, he's not real, like, in-depth of a character.
Like, everybody always gives Ensign Kim shit for having no personality. Like, Ensign Kim has a personality that's not good.
Yeah.
But Travis Mayweather has no personality.
Mayweather is just not sassy Tom Paris. His personality is he's a really good pilot, right?
And he is a really good pilot. He goes through the entire minefield without hitting a single mine.
Which is pretty good.
Unfortunately, like, moving the ship makes the mine activate and, like, shove a fucking spike through Reed's leg, pinning him onto the fucking ship.
Yeah, whoops.
And, which sucks.
Yeah. I would fucking just be like, all right, I'm dead. We're dead. Like, we're all dead. I'm dead.
The thing that's maybe a little bit too unrealistic in that scene that maybe, like, took me out a little bit was that, like, he gets shoved through the leg. Like, a bar of steel goes through his leg. And he's like, ow. That smarts. Oh.
Yeah, he doesn't yell or go like, fuck! You know, like, we would be like, Jesus, fuck! Like,
he doesn't scream or anything. He just goes, ah.
He's a badass. That's why.
I guess.
He's a British badass.
Archer goes out, and he's like, look, you're pinned, you can't get up to disarm the mine, you're gonna have to tell me how to disarm the mine. And Reed just, like, argues him forever.
Yeah.
And Archer's like, look, I'm your captain, it's an order. Tell me how to disarm the mine. Meanwhile...
Oh, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, no,
I was gonna
ahead.
say, he starts to, like... You start to see Malcolm Reed's, like, sort of obsession with the way things used to be, right? Like, he's very old school, and he's very, like... he's like a naval man. Like, his whole... He tells, like, later... He tells about
which
his
doesn't
whole
make any
family.
sense.
Right.
Like, how do you have a navy for a country when the world's Earth government?
I guess that they would just still, like, maybe Earth, like, has defensive capabilities on the ocean for reasons. Maybe it's just something to do. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like,
I guess it could be, like, a ceremonial thing at this point.
Yeah, I mean, having, like, a full active navy doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but, like...
No, it doesn't.
Perhaps, like... that's just like part of like a job you do, you know, like in a post like peaceful
the Navy
world,
might
like,
mean something different by then as well. Like you said, it could be Earth defenses or something.
Yeah, it could be just like the ships are there in case like of aliens or something. I don't fucking know. Like maybe they're like weapons platforms.
It's
in
the
the
movie
ocean
Battleship, right?
Right. It could be Battleship. We're referencing the movie Battleship. Oh god. This show sucks.
Shut up. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Sato, even though she got clonked on the head on a noggin,
Yeah.
is able to decode the alien language. She's like, it's the Romulans, and they want us to leave immediately, or they're gonna kill us all.
Yeah.
And that this belongs to the Romulan Star Empire. And T'Pol's like, no, it's Romulans. And the music goes dun dun dun.
Dun, dun. And then T'Pol looks at the camera and then she winks. And then she whispers, "You were waiting for this."
And she looks straight at the camera and goes, "From Star Trek."
Next episode, I'll get naked again. Because this
Josh
is on the
is
CW.
Josh is just like fantasizing that fucking T'Pol talks to him through the TV.
She
all the
gets
time.
naked every episode.
She
They were like,
does.
Jolie Blaylock, since we're on UPN now or whatever, we could show some sweet backs.
Yeah, she's like in season 1. Like I was worried about her. I was like, man, you look like you need to eat something. Like
Yeah, she's real thin.
you're like a skeleton, like a skeleton bones. In
they
season
don't
2,
eat
she
meat.
looks like she's taking better care of herself.
Yeah, they probably like were like, eat a sandwich.
Eat a sandwich.
Eat a sandwich.
T'Pol's like, yeah, all I know about the Romulans is they're like, I've heard bad shit about them, and the High Command has never dealt with them before.
Yeah.
And Archer mentions that he, all the stuff about Daniels, which I completely missed for the most part.
Yeah.
But it'll take an hour for Sato to come up with a response to the Romulans, which is probably not going to be long enough, like short enough a time.
Yeah, the Romulans are they're real pissy, so they want him out of there.
Yeah, they're like, fucking leave or we're going to destroy you. That's it.
This has not been a very auspicious first contact with the Romulans so far. That's for sure.
No. There is a tense scene happening out on the hull, though, where Archer is trying his damnedest to figure out, to like follow Reed's orders, but he also wants to talk.
Yeah. He's all
And-
chit-chatty, and Reed is like, "Why are we talking?"
Reed's like, just do it. I can't talk to you because you're my superior officer.
Yeah.
And eventually Archer gets him to start talking about his family history. Mm-hmm. And we learn all about how his whole family were Royal Navymen, and he couldn't do
Right.
it because he had aquaphobia.
Which I thought was the fear of the 1990s Swedish techno band Aqua, but it turns out it's
Jesus
fear
Christ, Josh.
of water.
This dude is referencing Aqua. This show fucking sucks.
We should take a break.
We'll take a break and we'll come back and we won't reference shitty things anymore.
No promises.
No promises.
For decades, we've dreamed of traveling beyond our galaxy. This fall, we will.
Neptune and back in 6 minutes.
A new era of discovery is about to begin.
Let's go.
Enterprise launches Wednesday, September 26th on UPN.
And we're back. Hopefully you purchased that gooder service.
Yeah, buy all the stuff.
Buy Star Trek stuff. And tell everyone that M-Class Podcast made you buy Star Trek shit, because I'm trying to get some kickbacks.
Yeah, let's get that sweet Star Trek money.
Get that sweet CBS All Access money.
Yeah, give us just a free CBS All Access.
Can't wait to watch Blue Bloods.
You can watch it with my pop-up. I think he watches that.
So, like,
fucking Blue Blood.
When we left our heroes, Archer was trying to disarm a mine that was stuck to the side of the ship, and it was also stuck through Reed's leg.
Yeah, so they can't cut the little spike because it'll blow up, right? They're like, don't do that. There's like stuff in the spike, and then so they have to do it like the stupid, like old-fashioned way, where they're like trying to take it apart, and like it's complicated because it's this fucking space mine, and also they're in space.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts going on, right?
Yeah. And the ship is moving. It's crazy.
So, like, Archer and Reed start arguing because Reed's like, look, just fucking jettison the part of the ship, right? Like, who cares about me? I'm just one guy.
Right.
And Archer's like, there's only 82 people in the ship, numbnuts. Like, who's going to take over for you?
That's exactly what he says. He says, well, I have to do paperwork, and I really don't want to do that, so...
So, unfortunately for our heroes, even though Archer has decided that he's gonna save the day, 2 Romulan ships decloak.
Yeah, now there's 2 of them. Now there are 2 of them? This is getting out of hand.
So, they call the ship and they're like, look, if you don't get out of our system right now, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, you're dead. You're fucking.
And T'Pol's like, oh, well, we have some people on the side of our ship, and they're like, so we scanned you, and we know that you could just jettison the hull plating.
Yeah,
that's pretty specific.
Yeah, they're Romulans, man. They're like, that's what we would do, right? They'd be like, fuck it.
That's like super specific to me. I don't know. They're like, yeah, we knew that you fixed up the thing to jettison the hull plating, so just do it. Who cares about you stupid
They probably were watching them, though. Like, they probably were, like, scanning them while people were there, like, doing that work.
That's probably true.
And they probably were like, what are all these worker bees doing? And they're like, oh, well, they're probably getting ready to jettison the plate. Makes sense.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Don't make excuses for this fucking episode.
I'm excuses man tonight. That's me tonight.
The mind just like rearms itself when Archer's about done with it, and they're like, shit, we gotta reset it and do it all over again. And Reed's like, just fucking kill me. And like they argue a lot in this episode, but this one's like particularly heated, right?
Yeah.
And so he even, like, he pulls the hose out of his helmet, his air hose, and he's like...
Yeah, Reed does, yeah.
Yeah, Reed does. Not Archer does. He's like, fuck you! No.
Yeah, I'll fucking kill you. Yeah, no.
We're not gonna kill you, motherfucker! I'm gonna kill you! Yeah. Reed pulls it out to try and kill himself, which is nuts. Yeah. But he is trying to save everyone on board.
Yeah, he's martyring himself. And that's, like, kind of like... I thought that, like, that's, like, one of the more interesting Star Trek aspects of this episode is, like, that's the type of shit you would see in, like a gritty Discovery series, right? Somebody would martyr themselves, and it would be like, oh, that character or this person he really made an ultimate sacrifice, and let's honor him, like, you know, like the troops or whatever. And, like, in Star Trek, Archer's sort of like, nah, dude, we're not doing any of that shit. We're saving everybody.
I'm gonna save you and the ship.
Yeah, we're saving everybody.
There's this great conversation that the two of them have. I absolutely love it, where Archer's like, do you have any, like, I know you don't like my command style, like, what else do you have for me? Yeah, and Reed's like, oh, I think you're being, like, you do this wrong or whatever. And he's like, yeah, noted. Anyway, what else?
Yeah, he says, I know your concerns in that particular area, like, because he thinks that he's, like, too lax and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and He takes too many risks and shit.
And
He's like a fucking cowboy. He's like a shoot-from-the-hip captain
He
guy.
really is, like, much more than Kirk, I'd say. He's much more of a shoot-from-the-hip kind of guy.
He's more Kirk in that, like, he's, like, a teenager. Well, he'll like, jump into danger. They do
like, this is like
pretty
the
good job.
super Wild West. Do you remember when Voyager, when Janeway's like, oh, it's the Wild West, but this is like the fucking bare frontier with nothing in it?
Yeah. Yeah, this is like, there's people, like, harvesting minks out here.
Yeah.
It's like crazy.
Fucking Davy Crockett is out here right now. This is not the Wild West.
Yeah, this is the frontier land. Yeah.
And he's like, Archer says, you know, like, what else are your concerns? And he says, you know, I don't like how you fraternize with you.
Yeah.
I think, like, you shouldn't fraternize with people who are above you in rank or whatever. Like, I'm just here for the job. And Archer says straight up, look, we're going to be out here for years. All we have to depend on is each other. And if we don't form those type of bonds, we're never going to make it.
Right. You'll die. Like, something will happen. There'll be no reason to, like, try hard to get out of a situation, or like, you won't have the connections with people that you need later. And again, I think that's like such a Star Trek moment.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's when this show kind of, like, you're like, okay, there's the Star Trek. It's right there, right? There's that nugget of Star Trek. Like Archer's already becoming like this like Federation hero that he's supposed to be. Like, he's already forming these ideas about, like, what will eventually become the Federation. And I think that, like, that's something that, like, gets overlooked with this show because, like, it's not yet the Federation and it was canceled and the theme song is bad and everything's weird. And, like, but there is that stuff there that, like, real Star Trek fans, like, wrote this show and they understood that, like, Archer was going to be this, like, George Washington of the Federation. Right? Like, for Americans, George Washington's, like, a founding father, and he, like, you know, fought the revolution. Like, that's what Archer does, but for the Federation.
I mean, if you think about it, like, we have this idea of George Washington, right? Like, they were like, oh, we need a king. And he was like, well, we had a king already, and that's where all of our fucking problem came from, right?
Yeah, we're not doing that again.
We're not doing that again. So they were like, well, how about president? And he was like, all right, you know, that's better.
Right. I preside over the thing. Right?
Yeah. And, like, you have to wonder, like, how did he get to that point? There's that story, like, when he was a kid, he chopped down a cherry tree, you know? He didn't give a fuck. How did he get from there to being, like, this founding father that we make statues of and hold up to this grand ideal? And that's Archer, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How did he get from being this dude who fucking hates aliens and is, like, itching to get into action to being the guy who was the founding father of the Federation?
Yeah,
it's just unfortunate that the show got canceled before we got to see that.
You see moments of it, and, like, there are some really cool moments where, like, especially when it comes to the Prime Directive, right? Like, because they don't have the Prime Directive, and they get to a planet that's, like, pre-industrial, and they're like, let's go down there. And T'Pol's like, hold on, like, you can't just go walking around like aliens down there. She's like, you can't go down there, we'll just scan them. And then Archer's like, well, okay, like, you're right, like, we can't do that. So then they do, like, the makeup thing, right? And they're like, we'll just look like them, which is kind of like a funny, like, nod at the show itself, really, right?
Yeah.
But there's moments, too, when Archer is like, there isn't a plan for this yet. And he says, like, one day someone will come up with some kind of, and he says directive. He's like, some kind of directive that says what we can and can't do out here. And he's like, until then, though, like, we have to make sure that, like, we don't fuck people up. Like, we can't go down there and just, like, fuck with people. And he talks about, like, Earth, and he's like, well, what would have happened if, like, someone would have given, like, you know, our ancestors, like, these crazy abilities, you know? Like, or cured our diseases. Like, we wouldn't have gone through, like, the growth we needed to become who we are. And it's, like, really, like, that, in those moments, you're like, oh my god, there's Star Trek, there it is.
Definitely.
You know?
Definitely. And maybe someday somebody will make a directive that's prime, that we follow primarily.
They already did. Amazon Prime.
Oh, the real Prime Directive. Anyway, this is not
Amazon
sponsored
Prime
content,
Directive.
but, you know, if you need shopping done and you need it quick, go to the
get your
fucking
button
store,
up.
you fucking fat slob.
Go get your lazy button that you push and it orders your groceries for you. Fucking ridiculous.
Anyway, back to the show. You're right, though. You're definitely right. There, like, from everything I've seen in Enterprise, there are, like, flashing moments of it. And this episode's one of them, for sure. That kind of, like, you know, we don't have to sacrifice someone. We have to, like, protect each other because we're all in this together.
Right. The minute you start, like, being like, well, I guess we can make this concession, is the minute, like, your humanity starts to die, right?
You see that
like,
in DS9, really.
Yeah. And, like, that's a very, like, hard line stance, I guess. Like, but at some point, like, you know, use what you got, right? And that's kind of Archer's, like, mentality is, like, look, we're smart enough to get out of this. We're fucking scientists. We're human beings. We're clever. We got here. We can get out of this shit, you know?
And they do. Because, like, Archer fully cowboys.
They do it in a cowboy way, right?
Yeah, Archer fully cowboys this last plan, and he takes 2 shuttle pod hatches, and they figure out that, like, when they activated the mine, there was, like, a good 10 seconds before they turned it off. So they come up with this idea. They get the 2 shuttle pod hatches, and they take a torch and they cut the piece of metal that's going through Reed's leg.
Yeah.
And then they detach the hull plating. The 2 of them jump into space holding the 2 doors and then, like, turn towards the explosion and ride the explosion wave.
Yeah, they surf. They fucking gnarly fucking explosion surf.
Just straight up fucking, like, bodacious fucking wave surfing on an explosion in space.
Whippity wham wham wham.
And somehow it like shoots them right back towards the door.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like, all right.
But they
have like rocket packs on them. Do they have them?
I don't remember. Yeah, they do. They have
the little rocket packs. Maybe that's why.
But like, as soon as they're back in the ship, they just go to warp, and the Romulans are like, "All right, fuck them." They left.
Yeah, they blew up 2 of our sweet mines, though.
Yeah, and fucking, there's this weird little, like, sitcom argument at the end where Archer's like, how long did it take to explode? And Reed's like, I don't know, 15 seconds? And he said it was 20.
Yeah, and he's like, that's an order. It was funny. Which is kind of funny, because he's like, taking that stance that Reed said he should, right?
Yeah.
And not, like, fraternizing with him. It's kind of funny.
It is funny, and, like, for anybody who is, like, on the fence for Enterprise, I feel like this is a great first episode to get into Enterprise, because it gives you that taste of Star Trek that you're not going to get for a little while at the beginning when you start there. So you can watch this and then hop back.
Yeah, the episode before this is awesome also.
Is it
but it's
the one with Daniels?
No, it's the one where T'Pol tells them a story about the real first contact with humans.
Oh, yeah. I know that one.
It takes place in Pennsylvania. It's really cool. It's a cool Star Trek episode. And that's I would be shocked if that guy who didn't write for the X-Files didn't write that one. It's very X-Files. What was his name? I don't remember. Jeff.
Whose name?
Could you hear me?
Yeah, I was like, I read something on fucking Memory Alpha, and it caught my attention in a big fucking way.
Yeah.
Who's this character?
Wait, what? Wait, what happened?
Who's the character you were talking about?
T'Pol?
No, so you said, what was that person's name?
Oh, the guy who wrote this for the X-Files.
Oh, fuck. His name is John Shaban.
John Shaban. I wouldn't be shocked if John Shaban wrote the episode before this also.
Okay,
X-Files.
That was like full on fucking like 100% professional of me to just fucking like zone out and read something on our podcast. But
I thought it was Skype. You could have just said it was Skype. I'd have been like, oh yeah, Skype sucks.
Yeah, I could have lied.
This episode brought to you by not Skype.
I could have been a liar. That's true.
Just lie all the time.
The thing that got to me is there's usually not deleted scenes in Star Trek episodes that like almost made it to air.
Yeah.
But I could see why this scene was deleted because there was supposed to be like a scene with Ensign Sato and Dr. Phlox where she tries to leave and he's like, "Oh, you can't leave, but your injuries aren't that bad, so we can learn denobulin together. I can teach you some anatomy names." And Sato gets the first two names right, but she messes up the last one and says big toe. And that's the joke. Big toe.
Yep. The show was on UPN. They really were like making this like fucking supernatural and shit. Like there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, there are.
It sucks because it's like you don't need this shit. You don't fucking need this shit. But
all I can think about is like balance of terror. I keep going back to that, even though I shouldn't. Like the episode specifically is like, don't think about that. But I just remembered that in Balance of Terror, they're like maybe like the Romulan ship like super overheats and uses up a ton of energy because cloaking is a new technology for it. Right. But they've had it for like 100 years apparently.
Yeah. That's the problem with anything like this, right? Is like, are you gonna base like what was said in that episode? Like, did they think about what they were saying? Did they like that was like a way to write out of the problem for that episode? But like overall, like it doesn't really matter in the long run. So I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's like a weird. Yeah,
it's like how much do you really care about the continuity of the show? Like, I feel like the story and the characters take precedent. And that you're getting, like, the meaning. Like, there's a real morality lesson in Star Trek.
Right.
I think that's a lot more important.
The technobabble is important to keep track of, and, like, I know you and I both agree that, like, you can't just go making shit up or whatever. But, I mean, obviously, I think, like, Paramount and, like, the showrunners of all the Star Treks were, like, there was a big push after, like, TNG was over to like normalize Star Trek, right? Mm-hmm. And to make it like, this is the universe we live in, these are the rules, here's what happened, right? And unfortunately, you're gonna have like sacrifices like Balance of Terror. You're gonna have that line where they're like, they say that about the cloaking device that like kind of get thrown away.
It's actually easier. I feel like, because I was just reading a little bit of like how they got around that in like the extended universe stuff, because they have a novel which is called The Good That Men Do. Yeah. Where it was like an experimental cloaking technology, and like it failed ultimately, and that's why they still have the problem 100 years later. I feel like it's easier to explain away by the fact that a Federation officer, Scotty, is the one who says that line. Just have him be wrong.
He doesn't know.
Have it be like something else that was causing it in Balance of Terror or something. Who knows?
Yeah, you could totally do that. Like, you could totally be like, maybe they were just having problems with their cloaking device or something. Who fucking knows, right? Like, any given day, anything could go wrong. It doesn't have to be like this, like, permanent.
Yeah.
You don't have to have like Star Wars syndrome where it's like, well, now this is the thing forever now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's true. Where like the same technology is just always and forever once it appears.
Yeah, it's just permanent. Which I'm kind of cool with in some respects. I'm kind of cool with and not in Star Wars. That's a whole other conversation.
We can get into that on Star Wars class podcasts. I thought it was interesting to note that the suit, like the space suits that they wear, are actually really similar to the space suits from like the motion picture.
Yeah, they're like they want to be able to see their face. Like that's the big thing, right?
Oh yeah, like the one in the motion picture isn't lit up, but they always have a light directly on the face anyway. Yeah, but it's the same type of shape, like the helmet and everything, and the body of the suit, which I thought was really cool. Like that's getting it close to continuity right there.
Yeah, that's really cool. They do some cool stuff with the technology. they rush like photon torpedoes and stuff into the show relatively soon because people wanted them.
Yeah, that's
like fans,
true.
and they were like, just put them in, like fuck it. Phasers are like happening real soon, which they don't really have like full access to phasers right away, and they kind of explain that away because like the Enterprise just kind of like gets rushed into service quickly in the first season, you know, because they were like the Vulcans were holding them back, and then Archer and the Earth Starfleet is like, okay, we're gonna do this anyway, so send them out, fuck it, right? Like it's time, go. So they get kind of like retrofitted with some stuff. Have you ever seen the retrofit to the NX ship?
I have.
Oh my god, I love it.
It's actually really cool looking.
It's like the perfect bridge, not like bridge where they work, but like the perfect bridge between TOS and this show.
You see exactly it's like a middle point. It really is.
Beautiful. It's fucking beautiful. Like when I first saw it, I was like, oh my god, like, and I would have killed for the show to like get to that point where they make that.
They actually make like the
Enterprise.
first Constitution class.
It's like a pre-Constitution Enterprise. That would be really cool.
That would be fucking awesome.
And it would make a lot of sense because like the Romulan War, like they just like jack up the ships, right? They just build like better ships.
I thought it stood out to me in this episode, unrelated, but it stood out to me in this episode when Reed's leg gets impaled. The suit that he's wearing seals itself around the hole, which is like great technology. It would have been cool if they had that in any other Star Trek.
Yeah,
like I thought
like
about
Worf
this.
Doesn't have that.
It says it on the memory alpha that I'm looking at. That's how the sausage is made, everybody. I just don't fucking remember everything that happens in an episode. But it mentions it on the thing. But I thought about it in the episode, even when it's sealed. I was like, damn, it'd be cool if they had that and other stuff. And then I remembered the dude in First Contact that gets fucking blown through space when the hole gets cut in his thing.
Yeah,
whatever the fuck his name is.
Fucking
Ensign Dreamy Eyes.
Hawk.
Yeah, that's his name.
Lieutenant Hawk,
I think so.
I think he's a lieutenant. It's the guy from fucking everything. He's in
everything in the 90s.
Minority Report.
He was in.
Yeah, he's a Spielberg dude. He's like always in Spielberg shit. He's in Band of Brothers. He's in everything.
Why don't we take a break and we'll come back with our final thoughts about this episode?
Fuck yeah.
Be right back.
Yes?
I have a petition here to stop the Space Channel from showing so much Star Trek. Could I please get your signature?
What show?
Star Trek. Look at the space schedule here. Star Trek the original, Star Trek the Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and Star Trek Voyager. It's all they play. And it's gotta stop.
Do they play Magnum P.I.?
No, ma'am. They don't. They play Star Trek. The only people that watch this crap live in their basement and have no lives. They wear stupid costumes, go to conventions, and call themselves captain and stuff. It's gotta stop, and will you please sign my petition?
Well, I still don't know what you're talking about, but I'll get my son to sign for you. Gary, get up here, dear. He lives in the basement. Such a nice boy.
Doc!
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Doha Jupadak Hasta. Charkum Raj.
Get ready for more Star Trek Enterprise, the new series, coming this fall to space.
And we're back. And we've talked a lot about this episode already. We've gone through it as we do.
As we do, with a fine-toothed comb.
Yes, picked it apart.
To get the fleas out of your pubes. I mean... What?
Fleas?
Yeah.
Like, isn't that just normally like lice or something?
Jeff, like you've never had fleas.
We've all been there. We've all been there, right?
One time when I was a little kid, my cat had fleas so bad I had them in my hair. It was fucking terrible, dude.
Dude,
it was
one
terrible.
time I had one time I had a girl over, right? And the dogs had been in the house, because we had 2 dogs. They had been in the house so long and so bad that there were fleas all over it.
Yeah, that's
And
dude. When
like,
your pets
the girl
get
I was
fleas-
with is like, what the fuck? What is? Oh my god, there's fleas all over my leg! And I was like, all right, this date's over.
Dude, that sucks, dude. That sucks. Because, like, fleas, dude, like, fleas fucking suck. Like, they show up and you can't. You gotta bomb your house like 6 times. It sucks.
My wife listens to this podcast, so I can't wait until she asks me what girl I'm talking about and when this was.
Well, Jeff, I won't ask because I wouldn't know who it was.
Talk to you later, Crystal.
That's the John Larroquette. Jeff's gonna get asked a question later on. Fun fact of the day.
I feel like I talked about.
What girl was it?
I talked about this before, but like, and I mentioned it a billion times, but this episode is like way more Star Trek than I thought it was gonna be.
I'm
like,
so excited that you liked it. I knew you would. Like, I don't want to like suck my own flea-ridden dick, but like,
of course,
I knew
you get your lips
you'd
bit,
like
so.
it. I knew you'd like it.
You were right. You were 100% right. Like, I was really into this episode. Like, 5 minutes into it, I was like, oh my god, am I watching Star Trek?
I know, right? Dude, it's Enterprise. It tricks you. First, you're like, wait, this isn't Star Trek. And then you're like, no, it totally is. And then later, you're like, wait, no, is it? And then later, you're like, no, it is. It's like, that's the whole show.
There's something to be said for the fact that, like, it's called Enterprise, not Star Trek.
Well, that was like they changed it then, right? Like later in season 3, they changed it to Star Trek again.
Yeah, Star Trek Enterprise,
which is like so stupid. But this is like the way that fucking people were thinking in 2004 and shit, man. Like people were like, we gotta change this shit up.
Well, people are still thinking that, right?
Yeah,
like the big thing with Discovery is like, this is Star Trek for a new audience,
right?
And I'm like, really? Because it's the same movie that came out like almost 10 years ago,
right? It's the same movie. It's you put a fucking transformer as the ship. Like it's like what the fuck? Like I don't know.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on the other thing. But like, yeah, like with this though, if anything, and I think like I would prefer this, and maybe it's like the lesser of two evils type of situation. I would prefer to have a Star Trek like Enterprise where sometimes the show is like kind of slow, you know. I'd prefer that.
Dude,
over
I
like
want a slow show. Like I love slow plotting sci-fi.
Yeah, like instead of like the movies or Discovery where it's like shoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there
like,
has to be a fight every so often, or else people will lose interest.
Yeah, everything's like a battle, and it's like that's not like what's going on in Star Trek. Like some people aren't doing that shit.
Like I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were sort of defending Discovery. Not to jump back on that for a second.
Yeah.
But he paused for a second when I mentioned like there's no slow points in Discovery really. Like there's like crooked angles of people arguing, but
yeah, there's Dutch angles.
And then
arguments.
he was like, "Wait a second, there are no scenes of people sitting around the table talking in that show, are there?"
No.
And I was like, "Nope, there sure aren't."
Like, what do you think would happen?
If there are, I don't remember them or anything. And like, those are my favorite type of Star Trek scenes where people sit down together and try to figure out a solution to a problem.
Yeah, it's agreed. And I don't know like what the deal is with human beings right now.
I mean, that's very true in general. Yeah,
but like I don't know why we can't just like why does everything need to be like so fucking like right now, you know?
It's
I don't know.
It's sort of like, you know how if you watch something from the 90s, like a lot of things you can watch from the 90s or the 80s and be like, oh, this is a really great movie or this is a really great show.
Yeah.
And then there are other things where you watch them and you're like unbelievably aware of the fact that it's a 90s show.
Right,
or an 80s
right.
show. Like people in a 90s show, people are wearing like Ray-Bans and bright fucking color windbreakers and shit.
Yeah.
And they're saying radical. And like Star Trek Discovery and like a lot of shows that are on TV now are going to be like so painfully 2010s.
Yeah, they're gonna be whatever we call like the teens or whatever. Yeah, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. And I feel that way about films too. Like even like some of the better ones, I guess, like even like some of the better Marvel movies, I feel like later people are going to be like, oh, well, this is from that time when like nobody could pay attention and they had to watch like fucking gunfights every 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's true. And there'll always be those movies that don't have that to it. Like if somebody watches Blade Runner 2049 in like 20 or 30 years, they're going to be like, oh, this is a really great movie.
Yeah, no, exactly. They're going to be like, oh, wow, like, holy shit, there was good stuff, like, but they just weren't, like, kind of how we feel about Blade Runner now. I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? Like for the longest time, Blade Runner was, like, a cult classic.
Yes.
Like, it was like, nobody, like, Blade Runner, like, okay. And now it's, like, it is a classic, because, like, we're the generation that grew up, like, watching it, so we've made it, like, a classic, because it should be, honestly.
That. I really do love that when, like, if a movie, and I've read people who say, like directors and stuff, where somebody's like, how do you feel that your movie's a cult classic? And they're like, well, I fucking hate it. Like, I put a movie out and nobody liked it, and I didn't make any money, and now I can't do shit with it.
Yeah, it sucks.
But, like, I love the fact that if a movie fails, there's still a chance that people can discover its worth later. And Blade Runner's definitely that. Like, Blade Runner is, like, one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time.
Yeah. There's movies like that now. Like, I would say that about Dredd. Like,
yeah, dude.
Dredd is incredible.
Like, I've never been part of a petition for anything that wasn't, like, real world stuff before.
Yeah, like politics or something.
And I've never been part of, like, a news group for anything in my life.
Yeah.
But I signed a fucking petition for Dredd 2, and I joined the news group that was attached to it for any news that came about it.
Yeah. Like, I was shocked. I saw Dredd, and I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah, that movie is fucking like a masterpiece. It's
amazing. It's amazing.
And you're right. There are movies like that still come out. Like on the reg, it's like it's a lot more space between them than I would like.
Yeah, I know like people make fun of like Tron. I would say Tron's kind of better than people give it credit for.
Yeah, people get like turned off on Tron because of the way it looks or whatever. But but it's a good movie.
It's what they're mad about with Tron is it's a simple story, and everyone wants some fucking super complicated, fucking like mind-blowing plot twist bullshit. And it's like they can't sit there and watch like a space age like Christ analogy. You know what I mean? And
it's like a good versus evil plot, which people don't like, right?
Yeah,
modern people don't like that plot.
Yeah,
and I think I've talked about this before on this podcast.
Yes,
like
we've talked about it.
I have a very like prominent theory that's always in my brain that like the reason why people are becoming like the newer generation of people and like even like adult people now who used to be not this way are becoming like more and more like virulent towards each other, just hateful. And just act like blatant assholes when they didn't before, is that all of our media completely glorifies that. There's no good versus evil anymore. It's like shit face versus asshole.
Right, like being a dickhead to people is fine if like you're charming or something.
Yeah.
And it's like here's the thing though, people. Most people are not charming or funny or valuable.
No. Well, that's like a big lesson that everybody kind of needs to learn anyway. Is that like not everybody's fucking funny, right?
Right. Like sometimes like you know, you don't get to be that way because like being a good person is like the only way you need to be in a certain moment in your life, you know, not I don't know, I'm not a good person, so I don't
Josh.
I've never been a good
Josh.
person. I'm like the Lieutenant Reed.
Whatever. Josh, you're great.
Jettison me, Captain.
Never.
Get me out.
Take my fucking air hose right in your beehole. You're living forever.
And then Josh died from air beehole syndrome.
They called it Josh Henderson syndrome.
Man, I would be honored if that was named after me.
What is some medical students like? What is Josh Henderson syndrome again? And the teacher's like, "Oh, it's when you get an air tube shoved up your beehole and you die."
And you die from too much air in your butt.
It's medically unsound, I think. And I want to double back to like not everyone is funny. If you think you're not funny, there's a good chance you probably are.
Probably are, yeah.
And if you think you are funny, there's a good chance you're probably not.
Yeah. It's tough, man. Like, I'm not, like, there's a lot of funny people. Like, I don't want to say, like, nobody's funny. There's a lot of funny people.
There's a lot of, like, tigers, too, but that doesn't mean that they're, like, compared to other animals, that there's a lot of them, you know?
Holy shit. Holy shit, that's some true-ass shit.
I'm sorry, everybody. There are a lot of people who are funny. I mean, like, the entertainment industry is jam-packed with the people who are really funny.
I mean, there's just funny regular people, too. It's just that I think the opinion machine has gone out of control, and
and
there's no, like, objectivity. It's everyone's just like, well, this is the way it should be. And it's like, well, it can be that way, but it can also, like, be this other way, too. Like, it doesn't have to be, like...
That's true in everything, really.
Yeah. Like, we don't have to have movies about gritty characters who are, like, fucking dickhead badasses. And we can also have movies that are just, like, about good and evil. Like, we've been telling stories since we've been able to tell stories.
I mean, you have those movies, too. I mean, like, that's what Captain America movies are.
Yeah.
Although, not like the Winter Soldier, since, like, well, I don't know, Captain America's still, like, a real good guy in that movie. It's just everyone else is a fucking Jiminy Cricket prick bastard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, he's kind of like the Superman, right? But, like, he's also, like, Batman in the sense that he gets, like, shunned and sent away. So it's, like, there's still that element of, like, he's, like, kind of a bad guy or something from a certain point of view.
Captain America?
Yeah, because he's, like, a war criminal, right? Like, he, like,
that's true.
He doesn't follow the orders and stuff.
He's like a gritty, solid snake man now.
Yeah, he's a solid snake now. He's got a beard and everything.
Yeah. How dare he have a fucking beard? Look handsomer than me with a beard. What a piece of shit.
That's what I'm really mad about. Is Chris fucking... What's his name?
Chris Evans.
Evans. I was going to say Pine, but that's Captain Dummy.
That's Captain Not Kirk. With this episode, though, do you have any closing thoughts on this episode?
This is one of my favorite ones. It's up there for maybe one of the better ones. But I will say... as a consummate Enterprise supporter, watch the show. You'll find some diamonds in there, and it's totally worth the watch. And even some of the bad ones that aren't considered, like, really, really great, you might like them, because it's still fun. There's a 7 Samurai episode in this season that you should definitely check out.
Man, I love 7 Samurai episodes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So I've got a hot button issue question for you.
Oh, Jesus, fuck.
I'm putting you on the spot again. I already did this once tonight in the Patreon exclusive podcast.
Yeah.
So, Enterprise gets a lot of shit. It's at the bottom of a lot of people's lists of Star Trek programs. How do you feel about Enterprise as compared to Voyager?
I think Enterprise is better than Voyager.
I agree with that from what I've seen today especially, but even what I'd seen before.
Yeah, it's got a coherent story. The characters, like, its characters aren't as strong as, like, DS9 or TNG, which is, like...
That is my problem with the show in general, is, like, only, like, 4 characters on the show even really matter.
Right. There's 3 of them that matter, and that's kind of like the Star Trek formula, right? Like, T'Pol is one, Captain Archer, and Trip, kinda.
Trip sucks.
Trip isn't great, but he's, like... he's, like, better than, like... Mayweather in the sense that, like, he's interesting.
He has a personality.
Yeah, and so that is a problem, but, like, way more than Voyager. There's, like, way more interesting character arcs. Like,
the people who bring up TOS when they talk about, like, how Enterprise has the 3 main characters that really matter, and that's an apt comparison, but I think the difference between TOS and Enterprise in that way is the ship on TOS is populated by, like, really interesting side characters.
Yeah, there's always, like...
You got your cameos. Sulu, you got your Uhura, you got your Scotty.
Right.
Like, all these characters that are really fun and interesting, even if they're not, like, super deep on the show.
Yeah.
The problem I always had with Enterprise is that outside of the 3 main characters, you just have, like, people. They're just, like, not fun.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. Phlox is pretty good. He's fun in that, like, he's the conduit to aliens, right? Like there's an episode where one of Phlox's wives, because they have 3 wives, shows up and she starts, like, mad fucking hitting on Tucker.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about this.
And Tucker's like, oh, wait a minute, this is fucking crazy. And he wrestles with whether he should go tell the doctor. He's like, oh my god. So he finally like breaks down, does the right thing in his mind, and he goes tells the doctor, and he's like, did she give you a massage yet? Like, he's like totally fine with it. And like Tripp's like, no, like she's your wife. And he's like, whatever. He's like, we all are married to 3 people. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, sex doesn't matter to us like that. Like, and like that's really
goes and he's like,
interesting.
Phlox, I don't know how to tell you this, but your wife has been propositioning me. And he's like, all right, well, did you fuck her?
Yeah, he's like, well, why don't you fuck her? He's like, and then at the end, he's like, well, it's your loss. Like,
he's like, you're being very rude, Trip.
You're the rude one for not fucking my wife.
It's an alien thing to most people.
Yeah, and I think that's like super interesting, and it like makes you like, it has fun with like, you and I also make fun of this show being on like CW or whatever the fuck it was on, and like the sexy angle, but like it does have fun with that a little bit too. And
the fun parts are fine. It's just like when you end up in a scene where like, oh no, we got alien juice on us. We better get fucking naked and touch each other.
We better jizz on each other to get rid of the juice in our skins. Like that's like the stupid shit, right?
It gets real gratuitous at points, especially when T'Pol gets her Ponfar.
Yeah, the Ponfar shit is like, oh my god. Especially with her, because it's like, of course, right?
It's like the CW executives were like, look, we gotta get a hot chick on this show, and she has to get naked.
Well, like Voyager, they learned, right? And they brought in 7, and she, like, saved the show. So they were like, well, why don't we just have a 7 of 9 be on the show?
Yeah, let's have a chick in a cat suit from the beginning.
Yeah. Like, let's just have her on it. And that's, like, where you get her from.
It's so weird to me, though, because UPN was like, we need a sexy lady, and we're going to show her naked, but we're not going to show her butt, vagina, or breasts.
Well, if it was on HBO now...
Yeah, there would definitely be a lot of butt and boobs.
They show boobs on Discovery, dude.
Mm-hmm. They don't show dicks, though. They only show 2 dicks blasting piss off screen.
I would respect it more if they just straight hot showed the dicks. Like,
I saw the word hot slip into that.
Yeah, just straight, like, not even like Game of Thrones. Just here's a dick, but it's 2 dicks. I would be like, that's amazing.
I would still not approve of it, but I would have more respect for them.
At least you went for it, right? Like, at least you like pulled the ripcord and you showed the 2 dicks. Instead of the, like, nudge, 2 dicks.
Some people who have seen Discovery will, like, be like, no, they don't have 2 dicks. And then I'll show them the screen cap of the 2 piss whizzes coming.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my god. And then they suddenly start, it's like a repressed memory is being unleashed. And they're like, oh my god, Captain Lorca mentioned that.
Yeah. Now they had to do it. They had to do it.
That was a big plot point. In season 1 of Star Trek Discovery, actually, Klingons have 2 dicks.
Yeah, it's they spend a lot of time on that
one. They spend more than 0 time, which is a lot of time.
Yeah, which is like the amount of time that like it mattered. It might sound like I'm afraid when we talk about this that it sounds like we're jealous that we don't have 2 dicks. Like, I get worried that people are like, they're just mad they don't have 2 dicks.
A little bit of nugget of truth in that, I think. Right?
I'm not gonna fucking say I'm not jealous. Like, I wish I had 2 dicks.
Fucking Klingons!
But at the same time, like, come on. Like, who cares? I don't care if someone doesn't have a dick, so why would I care if they have 2 dicks?
It's just, like, weird, sort of like, I don't know, it's like, I feel like, I'm going on a limb with this one, right? Follow me. It's a flimsy limb, but follow me anyway.
Okay.
This is like a little freak showish, right? It taps into that idea of like entertainment. Like, not only are these crazy aliens like aliens, but they also have 2 dicks.
That's not a flimsy. That's actually a really great point, Jeff. Like, I'm serious. Like, that's an incredible insight.
It just taps into that kind of entertainment, like this weird strangeness in people, and it serves to sort of like dehumanize the Klingons in a way.
It's
like they were
propaganda.
fetishizing their two penises.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it's like war propaganda because it's exactly what it is. It's like saying like the Germans, they don't have any dicks, or the Germans like they're weak, or the Japanese like are like little guys who are like little racist guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
it's the
Looney
same
Tunes.
Yeah, like the Looney Tunes, exactly. Dude, that's great. That's a great point.
So that's my big limb for the day. My big two limbs.
Here's my final thought. Final two limbs. Here's my final thought on Enterprise. In Enterprise, Klingons have one dick, as far as we know.
As far as we know at this point in time, Klingons have one dick.
So there you go.
My final thoughts on Enterprise is try it.
Yes. Give it a shot. Give it a chance.
I didn't. Like, I watched a few episodes. I gave it what I thought was a shot.
Yeah.
I watched a few episodes and decided, like, it wasn't Star Trek. And that was a snap judgment. And I'll own up to that, right?
Where are you? Have you watched, like, did you watch after this or before this? Or
watched...
Like, where are you?
I've watched almost all of Season 1 at this point. And this episode, like, those episodes got better as it went along.
Yeah.
And this episode especially is, like, Season 2, Episode 3, I think, is, like, 100% Star Trek.
Yeah. You should watch Season 2. Season 3 is a little, like... It's like a long movie, because it all connects, and it's like the Xindi. And maybe you won't like the Xindi, but maybe you will.
I will see. But I think Enterprise gets, like, shoved to the side, right? Because it doesn't say Star Trek in the title. It doesn't have the right logo. And I'm guilty of that, right? Where I was like, oh, they tried to change it? They tried to change my Star Trek?
Right.
But now that I'm, like, an old guy, I don't really care. Like, you can change whatever as long as it's not stupid. And Enterprise is not stupid at all. It's a really good series from what I've seen so far. I've been converted. Josh Henderson converted me to his religion, and it's Enterprise.
Next week, we'll finally get Jeff to watch Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, my God.
We'll see, buddy. I think that's one I'm going to hold on to forever.
Hey, like Flock said about his wife, it's your loss, dude.
Why won't you fuck my TV series?
Why don't you fuck my show, Jeff?
I do think I'm going to get to Battlestar Galactica eventually.
Once you do, you're going to be like, what the fuck was I doing?
Like, I want to play Star Trek Online. I can't even fucking find time for that. Like,
I know. I don't even have time to have fun either. So
yeah, it's got to the point where, like, I have stuff to do that I can't even do that's, like, for my work because I don't have time for it.
Dude, it's like, I feel like that's... Anyway, this is turning into, like, us complaining about shit. But I also feel that way, so just know.
It's good. I feel it's good to know I'm not alone.
You're not alone.
Again, I reiterate, give Enterprise a try. Even if you've given it a try before, give it a bit of a longer try. Especially if you watch this episode, I feel like you'll see the, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
The charm.
The charm isn't anywhere near it, but it's a good point. The show does have a lot of charm to it, but you'll see, like, what it can be. Like,
yes,
it's potential. That's the word.
There's
I was
a lot of
for.
potential, and that usually is like a negative, like, passive aggressive thing to say.
Oh, like it had a lot of potential.
It does reach, like, its potential at certain points, and the payoff is, like, worth it. I
mean, like, you see your potential for enjoying the rest of the series through this episode.
Yeah, the first couple episodes in this season are really good, so check those out. Carbon Creek, the episode before this, is incredible. I love it.
I have to go back and watch that when I get a second.
Yeah, it's very Star Trek.
Again, I want to point out, even though we had like a 10-minute commercial at the beginning, that we have a Patreon.
Yeah. Oh shit, yeah.
Give us your money so we can do more Star Trek stuff.
So we can talk about more Star Trek.
We can talk about a lot of things. Like, we have ideas for things, and we need funding for that. So
just give us your money so I can finally get my second goddamn dick. Let's do this thing.
Fucking finally.
Fuck.
We have a Twitter as well. You can follow. It's at MClass Podcast. Mm-hmm. And we also do another show called MClass Email.
Yeah.
And you can send emails to us and we'll read them out loud with our mouths on the show. And
Mouth
that's
talking.
mclassemail@gmail.com, singular,
Yeah.
no S.
No S.
Please follow our Twitter and talk to us because we are lonely. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in, whether you're a patron or not.
Yeah,
We
thank you for
appreciate everything
listening.
that you do, whether you just listen or whether you like or you retweet or tell your friends.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
We appreciate the shit out of that. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you again on M Class Podcast.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Drink Sluggo Cola, the slimiest cola in the galaxy.